Hey everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. Welcome to PHLY Flyers, presented by Bet365. Download that Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games for the evening. Joining me today, another full panel. We have Philly's #1 hockey beat writer, Charlie O'Connor, and Broad Street Hockey's own Kelly Hinkle. We have a very Broad Street Hockey day today. With we're going to be joined. Well, we're going to play a clip of an interview I did a few hours ago with our own AHL correspondent and managing editor of BSH, Maddie Campbell.
We're a very integrated little fam here, aren't we?
Yeah, we're going to get prepared for those Calder Cup playoffs.
Yeah.
We've got at least one team in the org making a playoff push.
It's hard to do in the AHL, folks. It's hard to get in there.
You know, only 5 of the 6 teams in every division make it. Got to tell you to hit that freaking like button. Do it now. See, we're at 14. Next time I look up, we best be at 100. All right. Before we get started, of course, got to tell you, this Monday, that's right, Monday, April 28th, the show moves to 12 noon Eastern for the off-season. Going to remain there until like training camp, so make sure you write it down, you hit that reminder bell, do whatever you do.
Got breaking news.
Breaking news.
Rocky Thompson, Darrell Williams, and Angelo Ricci will not be retained.
Our long national nightmare is over.
That is...
that particular one.
It's very encouraging that it's like Bradshaw not mentioned amongst that group.
Yeah, so Bradshaw sticks around. Kim Dillabaugh also not named.
Sticks around. That's interesting.
But yeah, so Darrell Williams, Angelo Ricci is a little bit of a surprise because I got the sense he was pretty well liked by the skills coach. Rocky Thompson, of course, was a no-brainer.
Heck yeah.
I mean, pure optics-wise. Again, maybe Rocky Thompson has some special attribute that we just haven't seen because the team isn't good enough. I'm just, maybe. But just from an optics standpoint, you can't, we're going to look to take a little bit of a step. Well, we're going to get into Michkov's player grades, and I really like between you and Alex Appleyard's pieces, like, look at this, like, almost historic 5-on-5 scoring and play driving rates, all this, and you look at the power play points per 60 and stuff. It's, again, near the bottom of the league because, everyone on the team is. But we will. So that's it. Big story there. Breaking news: Rocky Thompson is gone. So
you only had to wait.
Addition by subtraction.
You only had to wait an extra 6 days to get what y'all wanted, which was Rocky Thompson gone. It had to be done. You knew it was going to happen. I wasn't sure if they were going to do it now or if they were going to wait until they named a new coach to basically say that, okay, this is the new staff. These guys have been let go. But look. Everyone knew Rocky Thompson wasn't doing a good job, at the very least coaching the power play, and I would say this year didn't do a very good job coaching the forwards either. Had to be done. You need a new voice in there. You can't coach like the worst power play in hockey for multiple years in a row. I know this year they were 30th, Danny. I know you took baby steps. It was still real bad. There needed to change.
They are still 33rd out of 32 teams over the last 3 years under Rocky Thompson.
There you go.
That's not going to win you a ton of games.
I would say no.
And just, you look at, I know you can't make, that's what cost Michkov the Calder. That's not like a reason you make decisions. But you look at it and go, that would have been nice if they just scored a little on the power play, just now and then. If, his 8 power play goals were 12 and he has 30, like he wins the Calder probably. But such is life.
It is noteworthy, though, as we mentioned, that Bradshaw obviously still in the mix. You go back to what Bradshaw said last week about he was going to be meeting with Danny Briere early this week to discuss the coaching search.
Yeah.
I would assume that if this announcement has been made, that meeting also most likely has happened. Now, I'm not saying that Bradshaw came in and was like, you need to fire these guys. I don't think that's the way it went. I think this is more of a Danny call. But it does imply that they met. They at least had a positive enough meeting that Bradshaw did not get thrown out with these other guys. It implies that there are worlds where, even if the head coach is not Bradshaw, that both Bradshaw and Kim Dillabaugh could very well be retained under a different head coach, which to me, look, I'm iffy on Dillabaugh, but I want Bradshaw involved in this one way or another. So this to me strikes me as overall good.
As you shared in your, I don't want to say rare op-ed, but you focus so much on analysis sometimes. You know, I like when you sneak in the opinions and stuff.
I want to make it clear this is my opinion. But my opinion is that Bradshaw, at the very least, should remain an assistant if he's willing to do it, and should be a serious consideration for the head coaching job, and I hold to that.
He should remain in this organization in some fashion.
I'm more iffy than you on the. I just don't think it's a good idea, like, to make him like a development coach. I don't think that is the best use of his talents. I am intrigued by the idea of AHL coach if he was open to it. I just don't know if he'd be open to it.
Yeah, it's like the development thing. It's just an idea of something he seems good at. Like, I want him retained in some way. You make up a role where it's. He does, he's running practice and still works hands-on with the defensemen. But if the new coach wants his guys on the bench and he's not one of them, like, you figure out a way to make it work still. Or like you said, Phantoms head coach. We'll talk about them in a little bit. We haven't done a Tankathon spin in days. And quite honestly, it's just poor planning on my part because like we've gone an hour 10, an hour 15 all week and haven't had time to get to this. So now with the Flyers holding down that 4th spot, the regular season totally over. We're 2 games into every playoff series, except of course, Florida's big shock there. I have theories. So without further ado, Brenna, spin that wheel. And they fold to 5. Okay. Well, that was exciting.
The Tankathon hates us.
I feel like Boston is the team that most often jumps up when we do these spins.
I've seen
it seems like Boston. They jump up a lot.
Who is this guy?
They need stars for those Blackhawks Bruins outdoor games, I guess. Can't have enough of those. Now, that is, of course, just a simulated spin of the draft lottery. When the real thing happens, which we believe is on Monday, May 5th, you should come out. You should come out to right here, the PHLY studio. It is a diehard-only event. How do you become a diehard if you're not one already? Go to allphly.com. Take advantage of our diehard sale. $36 for the year as an introductory rate. We're going to be having a party right here, live show, food and drinks, pop a shot, all of the amenities of the PHLY studio.
I will whoop you in Papa Shot.
Kelly is a carnival game fanatic.
It's true.
So
Kelly loves her crane game.
If you think you can get on that leaderboard, I mean, I doubt it. We have some real dedicated.
Oh no, the Sixers guys are.
They got it locked. They are intense. But whatever it is, come on out. Good hang with friends, food, drink, all of the fun of the draft lottery. We're pretty sure it's Monday, May 5th. Go to allphly.com to get your ticket. And again, a diehard only event. All right, I want to do a little playoffs before we get into the rest. Just that Panthers game last night, Panthers-Bolts, game 1 of the series.
Yeah, I watched very little of it when it became clear that it was not going to be much of a game.
I like to stick with, yes, the best possible outcome, close game, potential overtime, intense back and forth action. Any second could be the make or break of the series of the game. But the next best thing to me is like a 4 or 5 goal game where there is the potential for violent chaos. And given the 2 teams involved don't like each other, well-versed in violent chaos, I thought maybe we could see something here, but it got a little rough at the end. Nothing special, though. But we talked about this off the air yesterday, Charlie. Like, kind of weird that the games last night, other than that, were all game 2. A bunch of series the day before went to game 2. They had their game 1. Now, maybe it's a scheduling thing. You never know what other events are going on at their arenas, blah, blah, blah. I think it's a little bit of a coincidence that the now face of the league coming out of 4 Nations, Matt Tkachuk, he was on IR to end the season, and look at that. He comes right back, 2 goals, totally healthy. Now, they're probably just playing LTIR games, but think it's a little coincidence. The league's like, we need our American star healthy. Let's give him a day or two. You buy my conspiracy on this one, Chuck?
I love them.
No, because I'm not. It's very possible that this was a scheduling thing. That maybe there was arena, logistical issues.
Oh yeah, could have been.
I will say that, yeah. At first glance, it looks suspicious because it is so weird that some series were going into Game 3 as the series was starting Game 1. It is weird. It does line up very favorably for Florida, but I'm not ready to go down that rabbit hole without more evidence.
Oh no, just. Especially, we're going to talk about the Calder Cup playoffs, and there's like weird travel stuff. Some of the play-in series, all three are in one arena. Other ones like Wilkes-Barre, Lehigh, they're right next to each other. So Game 2 is going to come back to the Phantoms arena. Like, there's no travel concern here. It's Tampa and Sunrise.
Yeah.
You could do it on a bus. Like,
Sure.
I don't know. I don't care. I just kind of thought it was funny. Good. I want Mac Kachuk healthy for the playoffs, too. If that's why they did it, good job, Gary.
It's fun. You want to see the best teams, ideally, with the best players. That's why it's a bummer watching Dallas without Heiskanen and Robertson.
Nice win for them the other night, though.
I can't wait till the Flyers are good enough to play LTIR cap circumvention games ahead of the playoffs. It's gonna be
now
awesome.
they're cracking down on it. They're choosing now to do it with just one team, just Edmonton.
Yeah.
I do love that comment from Mr. Chwister. I believe all of Bill's conspiracy theories, even the ones that conflict with the other ones.
They all make sense.
You can't always be consistent. And
just because they conflict doesn't mean they both can't be true.
From minute to minute, quite honestly. So, also, I just wanted to ask you this quick question. Now, it's like Game 1, Andrei Vasilevsky, well-versed in playoff hockey. Florida makes it 6-2 with like 15 minutes left in the third. To me, in that situation, I might think like, let's get Vasilevsky out of here. Knowing what Florida is, first of all, like why wouldn't they take a run at him? And two, if you're going to make a run, it's going to be on the back of Vasilevsky playing 60-plus minutes a game. Think about getting him out.
Yeah, I can't get behind that.
Okay.
I just that is very like football thinking, and I think it's dumb. No, because I mean.
And what does it tell the rest of your guys?
Edmonton just came back from down 4-0 and almost friggin' won a game in the third period. Like, weird stuff happens in hockey. I'm not going to give up on a game at any time in the playoffs, given how chaotic the NHL playoffs are.
All right. The main event last night, of course, Giroux v. Laughton.
Yo, what's
loving it? Absolutely loving it. We can't play the video, but we have these two going at it. It seemed like Giroux was chirping Laughton at one point. They mixed it up a few times already in this series. I love this. I think this is so this is what playoff hockey is. Two dudes who were by all accounts if not buds, at least cool. In their previous life.
They were buds.
Yeah,
they are buds.
Yeah.
What apparently
it's definitely guys being dudes.
So according to Anna Dua, who is a host and reporter for Sportsnet, Giroux told media people before Game 2 that the Laughton-Giroux friendship was on hold for the series.
Oh, I love it. That's playoff hockey, baby.
I mean, I kind of feel like, especially a guy like Giroux, as competitive as he is, I feel like the blinders just go on. Like, you don't even know that's Scott Laughton until you're like halfway into trying to punch him in the face.
I think he knew it was Scott Laughton.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of gets the boys going. Like, I'm gonna fight my buddy. What are you willing to do?
Yeah,
exactly.
Like,
I do think I think it might be a little calculated veteran move there to kind of single him out and just show everyone else. Well, yeah, Giroux, recent playoff success, notwithstanding, he's been through it. He knows what it is, and most of the guys on Ottawa don't.
I also think that it just comes down to their personalities. Laughton has long been a trash talker. Giroux has long been a trash talker. It makes sense that if you put them on opposite sides, they're going to start barking at each other because it's just who they are.
We look at Giroux as super competitive, intense. Like TK even said it in his exit interview. He was just so intense, at practice, everything. I think we forget sometimes, go back to those old games against JVR when he's with the Leafs and he's doing the bird calls.
Pigeon, yeah.
It's just
pigeon.
He is absolutely a trash talking hockey player out there.
He deployed it regularly in his time in the Flyers, and I imagine that has not stopped, even though he's 36, 37 years old now.
Yeah,
that skill doesn't fade, I don't think.
But one of the reasons
it probably just gets better.
Probably
one of the reasons I wanted to bring up Giroux is because this kind of blew my mind. This year is Ovechkin's 16th playoff berth. Game 1, in which he scored the overtime winner, was his first. It was his 152nd playoff game. His first overtime winner he has ever scored. He is the greatest goal scorer of all time. And it is crazy to me. He now has as many playoff overtime winners as Claude Giroux has. And they came 15 years apart. Since in between Giroux's Stanley Cup final overtime winner and Ovechkin's very first, Ovi scored 628 regular season goals. That is unbelievable to me that it was his first.
It's almost like the playoffs, you say this all the time, are such a small sample size that you really can't glean any useful information from them. Like Claude Giroux doesn't suck because he wasn't good in the playoffs. He had like 5 seconds in the playoffs over the course of his career to figure out what he was doing. So yeah, it's kind of one of those weird like Jeopardy stats that doesn't make any sense.
I just found it odd.
The playoffs are great. The playoffs are so much fun. They're the best hockey. They are, in my opinion, the best version of hockey that you can see as a fan.
100%.
And we should, relish our time getting to watch this level of hockey. But we also should take a step back and not bury guys if they have a bad 5-game series one year. That's always been my view of the playoffs. Like, enjoy it, but let's just not act like they are truly the end-all, be-all. Sometimes guys have a bad week and a half. It happens.
Yeah,
Sometimes guys have a great week and a half, and it doesn't mean they're the greatest player in the league.
Yeah,
too.
sometimes you're like, you know what? We need John Druce because he did that thing one time, so obviously he's going to do it every time. Now, there are dudes who just seem to historically be better. Like, Danny Briere was simply a better player in the playoffs. It just happened.
Yeah.
That is, like, clutch does exist, but I think it can be, just because a guy hasn't doesn't mean he won't. Peyton Manning was a loser until he was a winner. Like, it happens in all sports.
Yeah.
Where you're bad until you're great. And sometimes you go your whole career and just never get it done. Sometimes you're like Claude Giroux. First 5 playoffs, awesome. By all accounts, awesome. And then it went away. And there's reasons for that, like injury and the help he had. The best goalie he had was
But he
Steve
had some
Mason.
bad playoff runs.
Yeah, and he did.
But the thing is, like, he also had some really good playoff runs. And if you look at his playoff career in aggregate, it's pretty darn good. You know why? Because he's a pretty darn good player.
Absolutely. Just any general playoff thoughts on any of the series we've seen before we move on?
I'm excited to see the rest of this Dallas-Colorado series. It seems like Heiskanen is getting close. This could be real fun. I was worried this was going to be a 4-game sweep before Dallas is able to get their guys back. Now I'm hoping for a 7-game classic.
I need this to be a long series.
Yeah.
I mean, this and the Battle of Florida probably, like, these are conference final-esque series.
Yeah.
They may be the 4 most fun, star-filled teams. Like, yes, Edmonton has the 2 guys, but just full rosters of great players. I want to see these both go 7.
No, this round absolutely slaps. Every game has been like so good.
Yeah, even like Carolina,
no duds.
Even the Carolina Devils game the other night was pretty good.
The games have been good. It's just Carolina's going to cruise in that series, but the games have been solid. Yeah. I was very impressed with what I saw last night for Minnesota. I thought Vegas was going to roll in that series, and suddenly it looks like a series.
I think we have like 3 2-0 series and only 2 1-1s, but I think we do this every year. Team wins game 1, and you're like, well, that's it. They're winning in 4 or 5. Yeah. And I would love to just see the number of series that go 1-1. I bet you it's well over half. That's just my guess. But, yeah, those are the Stanley Cup playoffs. But I want to talk a little Calder Cup playoffs.
Hey-o.
And we had our very own AHL correspondent, Maddie Campbell, of course, the managing editor of Broad Street Hockey as well. She is she was on her way. She was leaving her home after we did this interview to go up to Wilkes-Barre and cover game 1 of Phantoms Penguins in what is
boots on the ground,
basically
baby.
a best of 3 qualifying series. So I thought, who better to join us for this than Maddie Campbell? So let's play this and see what she had to say. A small clip of our interview. The Phantoms, they have qualified at least for this play-in. They won 36 games, put up 80 points, like you said, finished 5th in the Atlantic. Now they have this best of 3, pretty much play-in with Wilkes-Barre. Not a crazy great season for the Phantoms. We've talked about that along the way. But they won their final 3 games of the season, and they've made a lot of recent additions, really even going back to the deadline and times around there. They added Nikita Grabenkin. Alex Bump made his debut after he finished up his college season. Jet Luchenko. Emil Andre has been loaned back to the AHL. So how different is the Phantoms lineup now than it was even a few weeks ago?
Very different. I mean, it seems like they have found some combinations that they're liking finally. So like they're getting some consistency with the lines, but it's a very different look. Even since they played Wilkes-Barre last, that season series, for some reason, like they played 12 games, but they were pretty condensed within the first like 2/3 of the season. So we haven't seen them since right after the trade deadline. So I think that makes for a more interesting matchup because things are looking very different suddenly.
So do you think, we've talked about the Phantoms and they've been okay under Ian Laperrière. Do you think the additions and maybe this new look and coming in a little hot on a little winning streak, like, does that make them Calder Cup contenders, do you think? Or is this, and then they're going to play Hershey in the next round and see you later if they get past Wilkes-Barre?
I think just this whole division feels like a bit of a toss-up for me. I like the Phantoms' current lineup. They've got, for the first time in I don't even know how long, like 3 legitimate scoring lines. They've been up and down in that department all season, but it seems like over the last couple of weeks, they've actually made some real positive progress. They've been looking actually pretty dynamic, which has been great to see. So I don't know that I would say that they're like for sure contenders, but like anything can happen if they get past Wilkes-Barre. Like Hershey's played a lot of games in the last couple of years. I wouldn't be surprised if they could at least make it competitive against them. So I think it's going to be interesting for sure.
How would you compare this Phantom squad, like this team? And there's, like you said, they look a little more dynamic. They obviously some potential NHL talent in the lineup that we've seen. How would you compare it to the last 2 or 3 years under Laperrière, where they've qualified but had pretty early exits?
Yeah, I think this is the year that it feels like they should definitely take an actual real step forward. I mean, last year they made it to the second round, but it like the whole time it felt like they were playing with house money. Like they were playing well. Like I don't want to take that away from them, but it was a surprise that they were looking as good, especially against Hershey, as they were. This year their roster is looking pretty loaded, and I know I just said like anything could happen in a playoff format like this, but like if they don't make some noise, I think it would be a legitimate disappointment considering the full complement of talent they have on their roster this year.
Outside of, we'll talk plenty about the Phantoms and definitely plan on, hopefully, as if the team progresses, having you back again. But right now, who would you say are the Calder Cup favorites? Who you had to put money on it right now? Who's going to win this thing?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I like Charlotte. I think they've looked really good this year. They play just with an insane amount of pace. I would be surprised if they don't at least make a deep run.
All right. The team I once referred to as the Charlotte Checkers. The name is ridiculous. You don't have like the Philadelphia Phantoms. Like you wouldn't have the same anyway. How do the Phantoms match up with the Penguins? And is this like a real rivalry, considering what we think of at least used to be between these two teams before both kind of fell off their NHL affiliates? Is this kind of one of the premier rivalries, maybe at least in the Atlantic?
It definitely is. Like I said, they've played each other 12 times during the regular season, and a lot of these games have gotten pretty nasty. I mean, Laperrière got ejected at one of these games because I think maybe both coaches actually, because they were just barking at each other on the bench. Like nobody likes each other in this matchup. And I think it's easy to sort of try to manufacture rivalries, especially come playoff time, but this is a legitimate, nobody wants to see the other this time around. So I think it's going to be fun to watch. But yeah, on the whole, I think it's kind of tough to get a read on this matchup. Like, if you go by the regular season series, the Phantoms were 4-8 against Wilkes-Barre, and I think they ended up with like a -12 goal differential. So that's like a little bit worse than sort of on the whole of the season. So they had some trouble against them, but the roster looks a lot different now from when we saw them last. And I mean, even last year, like the regular season matchup was sort of so-so, and then they swept them in the play-in round in 2 games. So I think they could be surprising here.
And JH.
They love the on the whole.
All right, that was a brief clip. That was only like a 5 or 6 minute clip of the interview with Maddie Campbell, setting us up for the Phantoms' first round series against those Wilkes-Barre Penguins. For the whole thing, it's live right now on the YouTube page, so you can check it out. It's like 16 minutes long. Some good information on guys like Luchenko and the additions to the lineup, all that. Plus, like, a refresher on how these playoffs work, because it's weird. All right, before we go any further, we need to take a break for our sponsors. 1-800-588-2300 Empire.
Today.
Oh, the thing I love about Empire, the number one reason you should go with Empire, it's because they're flooring experts. We all know about the big box stores, whether it's, the home repair stores, whatever it might be. Even if they have a flooring department, you're talking to somebody, if you can find someone to help you who, they're working in this department today. Maybe they're in sinks yesterday. Maybe they're just delivering orders to people's cars tomorrow. They don't have the folks who live and breathe flooring like you get at Empire. Empire today, they are the absolute best in the flooring game. It is a whole different ball game with Empire. They're flooring experts. They can bring the showroom right to your home. You can pick the right flooring and the right colors for your space. See how it looks with your furniture up against the colors in your house. All of that, and get precise measurements taken and have all of your questions answered, so there are no surprises. It's not you're lugging everything out to the car yourself. You're finding contractors to do the different work, take up your old flooring, put down the new. No, Empire handles it all. And with Empire today, you get clear, upfront, and all-inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule installation as soon as the next day. So schedule a free in-home estimate today, because some things are just better at home, and PHLY listeners can receive a $350 off discount when using promo code PHLY. That's right, a $350 discount with code PHLY. Restrictions apply. Visit empiretoday.com/PHLY for full details. While we're here, got to tell you about our presenting sponsor. It's Bet365. Listen, I don't think those Michkov Calder futures are going to be paying off for us, but whatever your bet, you got to do it at Bet365. They have 90 million users worldwide, live streams of almost 800,000 events each year, the early payout offers across the NBA and NHL. So you get in on the money line, you see your team take a big lead, you don't have to sweat it out at the end. You take that early payout and boom, you've already won. Maybe you want to double down. Maybe you want to come back, think the other team has a comeback in them. You can do all of that at Bet365. And we have breaking news from our friends at Bet365. New customers now get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5, win or lose. All you have to do is sign up, use the code PHLY365, deposit $10, and place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets, whether your initial bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. But whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in PA. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, so I just want to talk a minute, just looking ahead to this little Calder Cup run. I don't want to forget about the Reading Royals, another team under the Flyers umbrella. Unfortunately, in their first round series, they are down 3-0. So it doesn't look like that one's going to be paying out. But we do have the Phantoms, at least, to look forward to. This is a question mostly for Kelly.
Oh boy.
But let's say this team, now that they have a roster of potential NHL guys, Jet Luchenko, he's 18. He's getting his feet wet. It's a league of men. He hasn't looked great. He's had ups and downs so far in his short tenure there. Like, Alex Bump came in, made a nice impact right away. I think he's got 3 points in 2 games. Nikita Grubenkin has been real good since the deadline.
Yep.
So they have players, and it looks as if
guys.
maybe they even have a goalie. If the Phantoms make a run, does that change your opinion of Ian Laperrière? If not as a head coaching candidate, at least his place in the organization, Kelly Henkel.
Absolutely not. Okay, so in 2005,
And that is all.
yeah.
I mean-
So in 2005, during the lockout, when every single NHLer that we had ended up on the
That
Phantoms,
was
who
a hell of a
just
team.
crushed everyone all the way to the Calder Cup win, was that because of coaching or because they had a roster full of NHL hockey players? I'm betting it was the second one. Now, the Phantoms this year do not have a roster full of legitimate NHL hockey players, but they do have a bunch of guys that are definitely better than AHL guys. And so I'm not going to give Ian Laperrière credit for like Alex Bump going off in the Calder Cup playoffs. It's not
All right.
Ian Laperrière's doing.
I did because
He
I saw
stinks.
someone compare this roster to like that 05 roster, and while there
It's not
does
exactly
there
the
does
same.
appear to be like more NHL talent on this Phantoms team, I wrote this down the other day. That 05 Phantoms team had Umberger, who was a 16th overall in 01,
Yeah.
Pitkanen, who was 4th overall in 02, Carter and Richards, who
Yeah.
were 11th and 24th in 03. Ben Eager was a first-round pick, plus Sharp, Nidomaki, and Seidenberg,
That
all
team
NHL
was
players.
ridiculous.
That should have been illegal.
Yeah,
That was one of the most fun years I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, that was when you were like in peak Phantoms.
Yeah, peak
fandom,
Phantoms.
right?
All the games were at the Farg. It was so fun. That was the year that I ended up drinking out of the Calder Cup from Josh Gratton in his underpants
Beautiful.
at a bar
Outstanding.
in public.
Amazing.
For the
yeah,
record.
I think it just comes down to what your pre-existing view of Lappy is, because if you have a very, very negative view of him, maybe if they won the Calder Cup, it would be like, yeah, okay, maybe he can make adjustments in game, but I don't think it would. I don't think them winning a couple rounds is going to change the people's opinion of Lappy who think very low of Lappy. It changes your prior a little bit, but not that much.
The Phantoms have won 2 Calder Cups, both in their Philadelphia iteration. But both of those Calder Cup winning coaches, Bill Barber and John Stevens, eventually became the head coach of the Flyers.
Bill, I swear to God. Bill,
I'm just messing with you, Kelly.
I don't think it's going to be something we're going to have to worry about.
I don't
because,
think so.
Number one, I don't think this Phantoms team, even with Luchenko and Bump, is going to be good enough to go on a run. Number two, and this just kind of speaks to probably my view of Ian Laperrière's tactical acumen, I don't think he's a good enough coach to coach them on a long playoff run. I just don't.
because he stinks.
Okay. What the main event of today actually is, it's the main character of the season, Matvei Michkov. That's
Oh.
right. It is Michkov Mania Day. It's Matvei Day.
That was going to be Fedotov, sorry.
Oh no,
not the
he
main
was a bit player this year. I would say he was in the main cast, just in terms of time spent talking about a guy that. Why are we even doing this? But Matvei Michkov has concluded his rookie year, the rookie leader in goals. Doesn't look as if he's going to be the Calder Trophy winner, as I try in my head to separate Calder Cup and Calder Trophy.
He might not even be a nominee.
There's a
good
chance
chance he might not be a nominee.
He could be third or just outside at fourth, I would guess.
I would guess fourth is probably the most likely spot for him.
That's ridiculous.
I put him in the top 3, but I would be surprised if I would be pleasantly surprised if he ends up in the top 3 on the podium. I think he's most likely to finish 4th.
Leader in goals. Rookie leader in goals.
Well, I mean, so here's the thing.
What is wrong with you?
You've
people?
got Lane Hudson, who like legitimately like broke records.
Okay, so
for-
he's in there for sure.
Dustin Wolf was probably one of the 10 best goalies in hockey this year.
Did make playoffs.
True, but he also was backstopping a pretty bad team.
Yeah.
And they got until like around game 80, game 81 before they were eliminated. They went pretty far, a lot further than anybody expected. So it basically comes down to Michkov versus Celebrini.
yeah,
And that's kind of a toss-up.
And it's like, how
Really
much do you
Michkov.
value like the points a game versus, but he was allowed to do that. Like, I don't know if people are going to weigh all of the particulars, and it's not as if Celebrini didn't have an awesome rookie year. This was a really good rookie class. Lane Hudson, I think, is going to walk away with this thing.
Yeah,
it was a
I think he
legitimately historic rookie season. And
he led all rookies in points, and he's a defenseman.
He's a defenseman. Montreal in the playoffs. I don't think anyone really saw that happening. It's a good roster, but it just was... Yeah, I think they're still a little away. They have good pieces.
Is it though?
It's like
I feel like I'm Thor in Ragnarok.
It's like we talked about with we did this with Vancouver a couple weeks ago. It's like they have a good roster, and you're like, well, okay, they have really good pieces. Like there's a lot there to build on for Montreal, but I don't think anyone saw them as, oh yeah, they're one of the 8 best in the East. And it's, well, what did they add? Half a season of Patrick Laine because he got hurt.
And he wasn't even that good for them.
He scored some goals.
Yeah, and that's all he did. He was terrible elsewhere.
Patrick Laine.
Yeah.
I know
that's all he does.
I'm not a Patrick Laine fan.
You're a Laine hater.
I don't think he's a very good hockey player. He can score goals, and that's all he does.
Wow.
Everything else he's bad at.
Some people say that's good.
He's good at other things.
Score enough goals. I don't care if you're good.
And sure, if he scores 60, but he doesn't.
No, he didn't.
And I think it speaks to Lane Hutson's candidate. Like, yeah, you added Laine. He scores a bunch of goals. I don't know if he makes your team that much better outside of your power play, but Caulfield's been there. Suzuki's been there. Like all those pieces, and you get Lane Hutson, and suddenly you have jumped all the other rebuilding teams that can't seem to get out of neutral, like Buffalo. I don't even know if they're in neutral. They're in reverse.
Yeah.
Like Buffalo, Detroit, Ottawa made it finally, but that's been a long time coming. Like,
Truly.
It seems as if he's helped move their rebuild along. So I'm fine with him winning. And after that, I think 2, 3, 4 are all a toss-up. I think it could be Michkov finishes second or Michkov isn't a finalist.
I think Dustin Wolf has a better case to be a slam dunk finalist than Michkov does. That said, I think that some people just might not vote for goalies. That could hurt him.
It's very funny to me that we don't the Hart winner every year should probably be a goalie, and it's never, unless it's Carey Price, it's never a goalie. Yeah. We know West Coast guy playing out in Calgary. A lot of American media, especially East Central, doesn't see their games. You sort by points. Guess who ain't listed? The goalie.
Exactly.
It's so I do think there's a chance Mish is second or third, but I think third or fourth is his most likely outcome. But that said, you look at the year he's had, whether you stack him up against rookies in his own class, leading goal scorer, 3 overtime winners, all of that. You stack him up historically. He's in the top 10 just most productive rookie seasons for the Flyers ever. Pretty old franchise with a lot of stars, at least in the past. You stack him up against rookies over the last 20 years, and Alex Appleyard broke this down in his article. You see the points. 16 guys over the last 20 years since the lockout have had 60 or more points in their draft plus 1 or draft plus 2 seasons. And you look at the list, it's a lot of really freaking good players and some Hall of Famers in there. You see him, he's right there with McKinnon, who points a game. He beats McKinnon. I'll take that all day, just looking at this trajectory he's on. And of course, Celebrini right there, your boy Laine right there. But this is a really good list to be on. Yeah. And I think it makes sense, Charlie, that in your player grades, now we're not going to give them all away. Go to allphly.com, sign up to be a diehard, do it, $36 for the year.
Cheap.
But you handed out amongst your forwards one legitimate A. Yeah. And it was to the 19/20-year-old Matvei Michkov. Even if he isn't nominated as a finalist for the Calder, it's really hard to have any qualms with what he did this year, even given that, I think you said 26 or 27 game stretch where he had 10 points.
Yeah, and that was the stretch where I just feel like he was gassed. Now, part of it, I think, too, probably was, the clashing with the coach a little bit and wasn't getting a ton of ice time, but it wasn't just that. He wasn't playing that well. We were watching the games, and if you're fully in the tank for Michkov, you can still probably do the mental gymnastics to blame it all on John Tortorella.
Sure can.
But we watched the games. Like, we saw him looking slow and looking out of the play and just not being as good as he was in October and November and into the early part of December. And then how good he looked in March when everything else is on fire and Michkov is still scoring, 2 goals every game. I would say that, aside from that stretch, he was really good. And I saw nothing from this season to tell me that he's not going to be even better as he continues to mature and grow.
Absolutely. And just like for a rookie to come in, it's just been so long, even first round guys we had high hopes for. To play the full season is huge. And not only that, to be one of the best players, if not the best player on the team by the end of the year. He led the team in goals, co-leader in power play goals and points with TK, led the team in overtime goals. He had 3. No one else had more than 1. And it shouldn't surprise me because he was just firing at the end of the season.
Yeah.
But there was a time where I was like, bro, you're shooting like 22%. You need to have more than a shot and a half a game. Ends up leading the team in shots on goal with 199. I am very, very excited for what comes next with Michkov. Excited to hear what he's working on this summer. He said, every aspect of his game is
not good enough.
He's not good enough. And I do want to play that clip from the exit interviews so we can finally put a bow on exit interviews.
Okay.
But
what I loved was, and this isn't from Michkov's exit interview, it's from Brière's. When Brière said that Michkov showed up to his exit interview with Danny with a list of all the things he wants to improve on and all the things he wants to do. This man is laser focused on being the most awesome version of himself possible.
And that's amazing. Now, I do have one thing, and this isn't a complaint. It's just my own internal anxiety and Negadelphianism.
Uh-huh.
He's going back to Russia.
Yeah.
That's just something we're going to have to deal with every year, isn't it?
He's a kid. He misses home.
I know. He said he misses the Russian language and culture. He wants to go. I get it.
And
I absolutely get it.
He clearly wants to be here and be a part of this team. So unless someone doesn't let him come back, he's coming back.
Yeah, and I'm not going to get into politics, but I'm going to say that I am less concerned about there being issues with Russian players coming back to the United States for the next couple years than I was before. And I'll just leave it at that.
One could say
I think that's, we've seen a lot of guys kind of coming over and guys we thought, starting with Michkov, but even Kolosov, Fedotov, and now around the league, Demidov comes over. Demidov. I've been saying it wrong, apparently.
Yeah. Well, we're saying it right.
Yes.
It is Demidov, but he has basically told them, just call me Demidov. He's going the Provorov route.
Provorov,
it's really Provorov, but he's like, dude, just call me Provorov.
This isn't gonna, it's just one of those things we're gonna have to deal with. I'm not even gonna do the we. It's one of those things I'm gonna be nervous about until it's okay, he's landed, he's at camp, all is well. That said, we've made a big deal about him and his NHL offseason. Would it behoove him maybe? I mean, his work ethic, you can't question it, I don't think. But wouldn't you like to see him in the NHL facility?
He said that he's going home for a break and then he's going to come back and work.
Well, he didn't say he was going to come back. He didn't clarify. He just said that he's going back to Russia and then he's going to make a decision on what he's going to do after that. Wouldn't surprise me if he comes back at some point over the summer. I don't really care where he's working as long as he's adhering to an NHL training program, as long as he's, doing regular Zoom sessions with the Flyers training staff. He can stay in Russia. That's fine. I just don't want him doing exactly what he did last summer because that, in my mind, ultimately ended up not being enough.
And I don't think there's any way to prepare for it until you know what it is.
Yeah.
The Russian season is shorter. It's less physical. We get into the different stylistic and play.
It's more physical,
Alex Appleyard really breaks that down. Again, allphly.com. The amount of hockey content we have put out in the weeks since the season has ended. I think we have 9 or 10 hockey articles up. You're getting your money's worth right there, let alone all the other stuff. But the thing that excites me most about Mish, we've seen the highlights. We've seen what he can do, breaking goalies down, playmaking, just being awesome. It's that exit interview, and I want to play it because we didn't get to it yesterday, and just draw your own conclusions on my distaste for the way Owen Tippett conducted himself in his exit interview versus this 20-year-old who led the team in almost all statistical categories. Go ahead, Bryn.
Matvei, putting up 26 goals and leading the rookies in goals this season, what does that mean for you?
Забивай 26, ты всех обошел. Что для тебя это значит?
Да, честно говоря, моментов было много по сезону.
Truthfully, there was more moments in the season.
Мог забить намного больше.
Could have scored a lot more.
Я не совсем доволен этим результатом.
Not very happy with my result.
Not very happy with my results. led the team in scoring,
I
led
could have
all
scored a lot
rookies in
more.
Could have
Yeah.
scored a lot more. I love this kid.
I'm obsessed with him.
It feels like hope. It just feels like we finally have that dude who not only has the talent, but has the drive to reach his potential. He's actually going to hit that elusive ceiling that we talk about with so many guys. And that's what frustrated me so much about Owen Tippett.
No, I get it.
You have all the tools.
The
You're
contrast,
bigger,
yeah.
you're stronger, and you're faster than this child. And 20, that was good. I had a good year. All right, before we continue talking about Matvei Michkov, got to take another quick break. Got to tell you about one of our newest partners here at All PHL, at All City. Listen, we've got some big news to share and little news. It's All City, including us here at PHLY. Well, we're teaming up with Big Brothers, Big Sisters of America for an exciting 3-year partnership. And this isn't just about sports, it's about community. Together, we're combining Big Brothers, Big Sisters' incredible youth mentoring programs with the passion and power of All City's local sports coverage to create something truly meaningful. The partnership kicks off this week during our NFL draft coverage, but it won't stop there. We'll be working year-round to support Big Brothers, Big Sisters through fundraising, content, events, and even opportunities for our team and maybe some of you to get directly involved with the program. And we're excited to support youth mentorship that really makes a difference. You can learn more and see how to get involved at bbbs.org/All City. Check it out. Big Brothers, Big Sisters. Really, really great program for decades now. And before we get back to the show, got to tell you about Lucy Nicotine. That's right. Always 100% nicotine and always tobacco free. Lucy Nicotine comes in breakers and pouches. What are breakers? Breakers are nicotine pouches with an extra surprise. Each pouch holds a capsule that can be broken open to release extra flavor and hydration. All sorts of great flavors to choose from. And something I've come to notice about Lucy, compared to a lot of the other nicotine pouch products, long-lasting flavor. I can keep one of these in for over an hour sometimes and still get that good wintergreen taste. I'm a big fan of the wintergreen, and get that little nicotine that you need to get you through whatever your day sends your way. So you have to set yourself up with a subscription and have Lucy delivered straight to your door. Let's level up your nicotine routine with Lucy. Go to lucy.co/PHLY and use promo code PHLY to get 20% off your first order. And Lucy has a 30-day refund policy if you change your mind. Again, that's lucy.co/PHLY and use code PHLY to get 20% off. And here comes that fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age. Every order is age verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Okay, before we get started, back on the show, I'm going to do something new, and this is going to be a thing that I'm going to do. Now, I understand, to be clear, I understand that there's a little bit of a delay between when we talk and when it actually gets put up on video. But I'm still going to do it because we're going to take that delay into account. Right now, we're at 109 likes.
Ugh.
Let's get that up. I'm hitting the button, so now I'm hitting a stopwatch. How quickly can we get to 150?
150.
When we get there, I will stop the stopwatch.
We have the stopwatch going. Charlie, I love it. I like when you take control of the show. It's a whole different side of you. I absolutely love
Let's
to
have
see
this
it.
be a thing. Let's see how quickly we can reach our goals.
Now, you gave Matvei Michkov an A-, and looking at the statistics up against Flyers historically, his own teammates, the other rookies in the league, all the stuff in Alex's about, historic rookies since the lockout the last 20 years, he had one hell of a season. A-. What would it take for you to, what does he need to get better at?
He needs to be a better, not great, but he needs to improve his two-way play. The Flyers were outscored at 5-on-5 with him on the ice, despite the fact that they created a ton of chances with him on the ice. Some of that is bad luck. Some of that is the goalies, to be sure. But when I watch him be involved in so many of the breakdowns that led to goals against, I'm less willing to just say, oh, it was all the goalies. No, there were a lot of times where Michkov's, directly as a result of Michkov's decisions, either put the Flyers in a bad spot defensively or just essentially had them playing 4-on-5 because he was out in the middle of the neutral zone just waiting and hoping for a stretch pass to send him on a breakaway. I want him to time those better, and I want his defensive details to be better. And until those get better, I'm not going to be giving him the straight-up A unless he's scoring 100 points. If he's scoring 100 points, then sure. Then, yeah, play no defense. But 63 points isn't enough for me to just say, yeah, don't play any defense at all.
That's, I think, important to me. Like, yes, the defensive zone coverage, all that important. To me, there's a big place he can improve, and it's winning, getting takeaways in the neutral zone to make play go the other way himself. And I see that as very much a possibility. Like, he's never, like John Tortorella and everyone who's watching him play, he's never winning a Selke. That ain't going to happen.
No, and I don't want him to win a Selke.
But
that would be going too far.
Like, I look at a guy who can do anything with the puck, and that comes down to, like, I think he can transfer that to little stick lift, take play the other way in the neutral zone, winning board battles more consistently, because he's just, even if he's not the first one there, he's the best puck handler in that battle, and he can just come away with it. And he needs to get a little better on his backhand. I do think that was part of the issue with him on the power play. Like, why did they move him off the right boards? I saw him fumble a lot of pucks on that side when he's on his offhand. You obviously want that one-time option, and it was a talking point a lot this season. But I think he can get better there.
I want to hear Kelly.
Charlie, hit it.
All right, stop.
We did it.
All right, we're at 151. It took 2 minutes and 51 seconds.
That's slow.
bad.
Not
You guys
bad.
are
We
slipping.
can do better, but it's a good start.
Nah,
Now,
you
I
guys
do
can do
want to
way
hear
better.
Kelly's thing, because I gather that she
All
was
right.
making faces when I was saying that I want him to be a bit better at two-way play and not get outscored when he's on the ice at 5-on-5.
Why can't the other four guys do something about that?
Are we? Do we have to just give him a pass on everything?
Not everything.
It seems kind of
We
like
need
everything.
to give him a pass as
He
he's
can't-
cherry picking so he can go score.
Right. He can't. Okay, listen.
No.
The huge, glaring, ridiculous errors. Okay, let's cut down on those.
Okay.
But on the whole, I would say that the other four guys can do more defense when he's on the ice. He's there to score pretty goals, make me happy.
So, like, but when you say the other guys can do, so you were saying that you want the other four guys on the ice to be doing all the defense to make up for the fact that he does none of the defense?
well,
'Cause I don't think that's going
I
to
didn't
work.
say that. I
Okay.
said that the huge, glaring errors need to stop.
Okay.
So he does need to do some defense. Obviously, when the other team has the puck and they're in the defensive zone, he should probably do a little bit of
Maybe
defense.
if it's your guy, you don't take off. You know,
Right.
If it's on the weak side,
Maybe you try to get it.
you take the risk, okay. But when it's your dude, it's like, well, there was a guy behind me. Yeah, but he didn't make the play yet. So maybe don't be at the other blue line.
Right. So, as I've said before, I'm not ridiculous.
Okay.
I know how hockey works, but
No one knows how hockey.
I mean,
Yeah, not even the coaches.
we've all got theories. I just don't want there to ever be a situation in which someone like John Tortorella is sitting Matvei Michkov for 30 minutes because he made an error on defense.
Okay,
I
that's fair.
just don't care that much. Tell him not to do it again.
Mhm.
Tell him how to do it better. Show him what he did wrong. But also, you were trying something there. I like that. You know.
It's been so long since we've had a
Yes, that's
guy
the
who
thing.
can just generate offense like this. That
I
said,
just want to
I
let him
also-
do the thing.
as much as those little details of his game need improvement, I just think there's even more upside to his offense. Like he said,
Yeah.
I agree with
and
that.
maybe the number one thing I want him doing, firing pucks every day. He has the ability to wire shots, but I don't know if I saw it consistently enough. Obviously, he can break down the goalie, break down the defense in a one-on-one, one-on-0 situation.
Sure.
From the outside, we saw him score some, but maybe a little bit more of that, and the ability to just beat the goalie straight up with a shot from the slot. Maybe a little bit more of that. Nitpicking. Again, dude was amazing, but how do we get him to Nikita Kucherov? It's be the most dangerous player imaginable. And at that point, yeah, man, if you have 100 assists and 150 points, I don't care if you never cross the red line.
I agree with that. I totally agree with that. I agree that if he's scoring 100-plus points a year, if his expected goals for percentage is crap, I'm not going to care because he's more than making up for it with the points. He didn't do that this year.
No.
Now, the interesting thing is that his expected goals for percentage was very good this year. However, and this is the flip side, it got dramatically worse once John Tortorella got fired
Well,
because then he wasn't doing
No
any
one
of
was
the
doing
things.
any defense.
The whole
Not
team.
for everybody. No, he was down near the bottom of the charts because he was freelancing more. And I'm just saying that there needs to be a balance here.
Sure.
I don't think Tortorella found the proper balance. I also don't think that Michkov found the proper balance in the 9 games without Tortorella. I think they still need to find that point with whoever his coach is, whether it's Shaw or someone else. I don't think he's there yet. And I think that I think that Tortorella conceptually was right in that Michkov will actually score more points if he gives 30% of a crap on defense versus 0%, because then the Flyers will have the puck more, which will give him more opportunities in the offensive zone to score.
Sure.
And I think he recognizes that. Like, he clearly wants to be the best player in the league.
Yeah.
That's a stated goal of his, you know? Travis Konecny just looked into the cameras and said, I've never played with a guy who was like, I want to be the best in the league. And thinks he can be. He just led all rookies in goals and said, I could have scored so much more.
And that's why I think he didn't hate playing for Torts.
Yeah.
I mean, he did that interview a couple days ago where he basically said, yeah, I was angry when Torts got fired. I liked playing for him. Didn't agree with him on everything. Sure, I wanted more minutes, but he felt like he was learning things. I've said this from the jump. I always thought that the online people were more angry at Tortorella on Michkov's behalf than Michkov was actually angry at Tortorella.
As his advocates.
Yes.
We're meant to do that for him.
Yeah, listen, that's a hockey player thing. Even if you absolutely hate the coach, like notwithstanding maybe like the Alain Vigneault situation, players do take it like, I just got another guy fired. Like, this is in our control. The coach can only do so much.
I mean,
and
I'm not sure if Cam York felt that way. I think he might have been secretly celebrating, or maybe not so secretly.
I do think there is a little bit of a pride hit. We've heard that in the past.
Sure.
We've seen a lot of coaches fired, and that is typically something someone says at some point. Like, yeah, even if I didn't see eye to eye with this guy, this is kind of on me.
It's a little embarrassing for the team, to be sure.
You don't want to have the 4th worst record and a Hall of Fame coach get fired. That's kind of on you guys, as much as it is also on the build of the team and the coach's relationship. But I do think the coach, like, I made a point, like, maybe the most positive thing that comes out of Torts is these guys will never have a harder situation, a tougher coach. He did play for Rottenberg, you know?
But the difference between Torts and Rottenberg is that, and I guess I could never step foot into Russia again because I might get shot. Like, Torts is crazy, but I think everybody agrees that he is a smart hockey mind and a good coach. And the craziness is something you have to put up with to get to the good coach. Rottenberg is not a good coach. That team over there is stacked with talent, and they just don't win because he's not a good hockey coach. And he's also crazy.
Yeah, it seems as if he's not very good also. You know, you're like, I don't want Matvei Michkov. Well, why? I don't. Yeah, that's a crazy person thing.
Like, why are you why are you not playing this
The
guy?
NHL badly wants him, and you think, let's send him to Sochi.
I think it is completely fair to say, looking at that roster that he has, with the fact the amount of money they spend in the KHL, they're one of the premier teams, they should do better. Yeah. And they don't. And it's pretty easy to point to the coach who, under normal circumstances, probably would get let go. But given that he's one of the richest and most powerful men in Russia, even aside from the fact that he's the head coach, that ain't going to happen.
All right, before we get to Super Chats, not saying, he's going to win. He's going to be a 150-point player next year, Hart Trophy, Art Ross, etc. Next season, when we're having this grade discussion, are we talking about a guy with some Hart votes, top 15?
I think it depends on the overall success of the team.
I think if he scores a bunch of points, he's going to get some votes. Down ballot votes.
Well, Okay, votes. Okay, yeah.
I would say no because I don't think he's going to score that much.
Okay.
But I can't rule it out. Like, let me put it this way. It would have shocked me if Matvei Michkov scored 100 points this year. That would have been mind-blowing. I would have been completely shocked. If he scores 100 points next year, I would be surprised. It's not what I will be projecting for him, but I don't think it's crazy.
I mean...
he's doing it.
2 guys in their draft plus 1, draft plus 2 seasons put up 100 points or more. Sidney Crosby and Alex Ovechkin, both in the first year out of the lockout, when 1, everything was a penalty and all games were on the power play, and 2, they are the 2 best players to come into the league in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. So
But
yes,
if
100 points would have been insane.
But if he did it next year, I would be surprised. But it wouldn't, based on what I saw him do this year and the plausible improvements the power play can have while it's no longer coached by Rocky Thompson,
Addition
which
by
we now
subtraction.
know for a fact, and the fact that the next coach, I would guess, I don't know for sure, but I would guess, will give him more minutes per game than
Here's
John
hoping.
Tortorella did. It would not totally blow me away if he blew up and scored 100 points in his sophomore year. Wouldn't totally shock me.
All right, we are headed to overtime. Head to allphly.com to keep watching. It's time for Super Chats.
Chat time.
We have a decent number of them
Lord.
today. Let's start it off with our pal JH. Our long nightmare is over. Don't let the, what's that? The donkey hit you.
on the
Door in the donkey on the way
Oh,
out.
sure. Okay, whatever. You donkey.
Danny Briere was so coy on Saturday's presser about baby
So
steps.
this is very clearly in reference to Darrell Williams, the much hated Darrell Williams. No, it's obviously for Rocky Thompson.
Yes,
obviously.
clearly. The other guys no one even cares about.
I don't even
it's
know who those
just
guys
Rocky.
are.
I think Angelo Ricci did a legitimately good job as a skills coach. It's probably just the fact that like they want the next head
We're
coach
clearing it out.
Yeah,
to,
it's fine.
to manage the skills development of players. And Darrell Williams, honestly, Darrell Williams was a holdover from the previous regime. He was able to stay on because Torts knew him. Torts had a pre-existing relationship with him because Williams, I believe, was on his staff for that 1 year in Vancouver. So when Torts showed up, he's like, yeah, I'll keep Darrell. He's a good guy. So he survived 2 separate coaching regimes. This was probably
Why
time
is
to-
Dilly's job so safe?
Because no one understands goaltending.
They think very highly of him. He's thought of very highly around the league. And
There's
look,
that again.
I'm with you, Kelly.
Everyone thinks he's good at it, so he must be good at it despite results.
a ton of credit for what he did in LA with Jonathan Quick, and then to a lesser extent,
Superstar
Martin
goalie.
Jones before he completely fell off a cliff in San Jose.
Jonathan Quick, superstar goalie.
So if if he fixed Murray Jones, why'd he just turn bad again? Because he just wasn't in the same room as Kim Dillabaugh anymore?
Well, he eventually did get in the same room as Kim Dillabaugh, and then Kim Dillabaugh couldn't refix him, apparently.
Curious.
He wasn't very good in Philly.
Just real quick on the removals of most of the assistants, but the retention, at least for now, of Brad Shaw. Do you think that says more about his head coaching candidacy or just the desire to keep him on in some capacity?
second thing.
I think it's the latter.
Okay.
I mean, he's clearly still in the mix,
Yes.
but I think that more says that they want to, unless the next coach comes in and just has a hard line of, no, I want all my guys, they are going to keep both Brad Shaw and Kim Dillabaugh.
Okay.
And I'm ambivalent on Dillabaugh. I don't know if it's just the town or if he's just not, he's fallen behind the times, let's say, in terms of goalie development. But I'm very happy that it seems like the winds are blowing in the direction of Brad Shaw sticking around in some form or another. I think that is good for the Flyers.
Got to get a Russian goalie coach. That's what we need.
Some Russian goalies who aren't.
They know what they're doing
terrible.
over there.
All right. From our pal Marco 5-hole. I'm just skipping the last name. Yo, Bill, you really gonna hit Charlie with a conspiracy theory the day before he goes on vacay? Charlie, I'm sorry I asked about
that was
RFAs
Felkier,
yesterday and almost caused a little breakdown. Please have a great
It's
vacation.
fine. I just want to make it clear that like I will get to all these things. I'm actually excited to get to all these things. I'm excited to get myself to the point where I feel like I'm a draft expert, where I feel like I know every single free agent, both UFA and RFA, that's going to be available on July 1st. It's just that it's April 23rd. We've got a lot of time, and I'm not going to become an expert overnight, and I'm also not going to run myself into the ground right after the season gets done to try to become an expert as quickly as possible when we do have 2 months for me to do so. Like July 1st is when free agency starts, and that's the case both for UFAs and RFAs. We got time.
See if we can get to 200 likes before we wrap
Let's
up Super
go.
Chats.
I'm not
All
going
right.
to time this one. Don't worry.
No, I mean
only for my like
the
boost.
time is, until I'm done reading the Super Chats. Again, from Marco 5-hole. And Kelly was right. Marco Belcher. Okay. Don't touch my
Percocets. Do you have any
Percocets, and
Oh,
you do.
from
And,
Goon,
okay, yeah. Do you have any Percocets? That is, I mean,
It's a great line.
That's good stuff.
Two
Get it
questions.
because a beach ball is big. Go fan. that is
That
the
movie is
goalie in that
hilarious.
movie
Yeah.
is
So
maybe,
funny.
and the 2 twins.
Yes.
I don't know why, but that's how I picture the Sedins.
Yes.
Like that's by all accounts they're like class acts, but I assume
No,
that's
they're
what
exactly
they were doing,
like
like
those guys.
torturing Robert Luongo.
We talked about it a
Roberto.
little bit when we
Yeah.
did the movie thing last year, but they absolutely went into Goon knowing, based on Slapshot, we have to make the goalie funny.
Yes.
That was absolutely a subtle nod to Goon being like, or a subtle nod to Slapshot being like, okay, everyone watching this movie has watched Slapshot. Everyone's favorite character in Slapshot is the goalie. We got to make the goalie funny again.
I know it's 2 rules. That's why it's funny.
Yeah.
I got 2 rules.
2 rules.
Don't touch my Percocets.
Do you have
any
any
Percocets?
All right, from D-Phil9, Wolf had a good first half, mid-second half, and no playoffs.
He finished the season quite strong.
He did fall off a little
And
at
then
one
he
point.
got going.
And then he got it going a bit. But the playoff thing is, I thought maybe that would make or break his candidacy. But when you look at the way they finished and just take into account the expectations, like that was supposed to be a bottom 10 team. And the Flyers' second-round pick from Calgary is going to be 48. It's their like deepest into the second round. He kind of kept that team afloat.
And also, I'm not going to kill him for not making the playoffs when he led his team to 96 points, which would have easily made the playoffs in the East.
Could have finished second or in the Metro. All right, from our pal David Shub, Michkov reposted my warm-up pick I took and creeps my story sometimes. Bro's basically begging for a strip club invite this summer. Certified future legend vibes, immaculate.
David, don't you get that child in trouble.
No, it's fine. You can have a little fun.
I mean, if he wants to.
Don't get caught.
Well, the thing is that he is only 20. Next year, bud.
I'll give it a pass. From Gary B. Show and tell is closed now, right? Because that was 18 plus.
Oh,
it was
it really?
Yeah, because you got an X on your hand and they wouldn't serve you.
But
yeah.
you could, okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
I honestly did not know that.
Spent a few Valentine's days there in college. From Gary B. Michkov, Luchenko, TK, a great dream line of mine. I know, Char. That's another. Oh, we got to talk line combos with Charlie before he goes away.
Charlie makes the lines.
I don't know. Like we talked about Michkov not playing with Coots early in the season because we don't want him with those matchups. But then when it became Cates gets those matchups, it makes sense.
Exactly.
I don't know if I'm putting that like the 2 best offensive players by a mile on this team. I don't know if I'm putting Luchenko in that position.
Let me put it this way. I hope that Luchenko proves I'm not even expecting this to be the case as a rookie. Although, look, they're going to juggle lines around if he makes the team. He'll get some time with these guys, I'm sure, because everybody plays with everyone. That's the way coaches do lines. I hope Luchenko proves to be good enough at some point in his NHL career that line isn't something we're angry at, but something we're excited about. Like, I want Luchenko. If Luchenko ends up being a 60 to 70 point guy, that line is very exciting. If Luchenko is a 30 to 40 point guy, he's Ryan Poehling, but a bit better, then that could be a line we're annoyed with. So I hope he's real good, and I hope that's a line we're excited about 2-3 years down the road.
I think the thing I'm most encouraged about with Jet Luchenko is Zeev Buium in the playoffs, 2 games, -2, 1 shot on goal.
I didn't follow him too closely in game 2, but in game 1, he didn't look that
Playing 13 minutes, at least he's not Cale Makar stepping onto the ice and immediately becoming one of the best players in the league in the playoffs. That's nice. All right, another one here from JH. On the whole, what is this joke?
JH and HC.
The people like when we say on the whole.
They decided.
We have a lot of phrases we use over here.
They decided, I think it was literally 2 or 3 months into the show. So this was last season.
Yeah.
And I don't even know who specifically, but they decided that someone, it might be me, maybe you, I don't know. They decided that we say on the whole too much. And now every time anyone, it could be Maddie, it could be Kelly, it could be me, it could be you. Every time any of us says on the whole, they lose their minds.
It's the Bart Simpson meme.
Yes.
We do have a few phrases we overuse here. Here's the thing.
Listen,
5
there's
hours
only so
a
many
week.
words.
We're on TV a lot.
There's only so many combinations.
Yeah.
All right.
That many more words.
Another one from David. David says, when I said the Flyers need to be more physical, I didn't mean goons.
Okay.
The Panthers just dummied the Bolts. Can't players be good at hockey and be physical? We lost 3 to concussions this year.
I think this was the guy who was in my mentions yesterday, and he basically was like, why do you have to wait for the Flyers to struggle in the playoffs to try to get tougher? And I guess my view is, number one, I'm not of the opinion. It's a sore spot for me because I get frustrated with you have to trade away one of the small defensemen because it's not a big enough defense. I do worry that it's not a big enough defense. I'm just not ready to sell one of York, Andre, or Drysdale low or not at their peak value before we know that it's too small for the playoffs. Number two, I don't think the Flyers are that weak. I don't think they get bullied regularly.
I mean, like the concussions that happened, like
that happens to.
It was a couple of cheap shots, like a weird, like I don't know. I didn't see it as like they got bullied this year. And
I really didn't
while I do think you have to be physical to be a successful team, or at least have a physical element in your top 9 and your top 4, I don't want to get into that Paul Holmgren.
The Rangers re-signed Chris Drury.
Did they really?
Good for them.
What's happening up there?
You know what? I
Cross that off the McDavid list.
Personally,
Way to go, boys.
As someone who covers the Philadelphia Flyers and would like them to make the playoffs sometime soon, I am very much in favor of that.
Great job.
Great decision,
MSG.
New York
Rangers.
Killing it.
Yeah.
But
What
I
a
don't
choice.
want to get into that Paul Holmgren. Well,
Sorry, I got
we
distracted.
need to be physical over. Like, let's go get Luke Shen. Let's go get Nick Grossman, and they're going to be in our top 4. We have to give up JVR for Luke Shen because one guy isn't tough and this guy is. Like, they got to be good too. I don't want to put one in front of the other, but I do think you need physicality. That's pretty clear. All right. Where are we now? From JH. Mike going to be better than Sid or Ovi.
He's the next Alex Ovechkin. Many people are saying.
He's
He will be the one to break the record
not
next.
on a great pace to catch Ovi already.
Listen, he's got time to make up.
But he's got plenty of time. And,
He won't have.
It would be awesome.
Maybe he won't have a lockout season.
That's
Maybe
fair.
he won't have a pandemic season. He's gonna get there.
Yeah, I think the
I have
fewest
really
goals,
reasonable expectations.
fewest goals Ovi ever scored in a season was 32. He did it twice, and once was a lockout year.
I
All
am,
right,
I am
listen.
terrified of what's going to happen when people start turning on Michkov. Because right now you have all this positive
I'm not
energy.
going to allow
and
it.
like it invariably is going to happen. It might not be next year, it might not be the year after. But when it happens, I am terrified for the wars that are going to ensue.
I just think he has enough of the attributes. Like, he seems like a big game player, and he seems not afraid to mix it up, get in people's face. Like, I just think he has enough of the attributes that will give him a long grace period for him to eventually reach that potential. And then once he's a superstar, what are people going to get mad? Like, I think, but if he has a sophomore slump, people will get mad.
I watched it happen with Claude Giroux.
I will
and that
eviscerate
tells
every
me
one
that
of
it will
you.
happen with pretty much anyone. I mean, people even turned on Ovechkin when it took a while
Oh, it
for him
happened.
to win a cup.
It did happen.
This
It
is why
happens.
I'm going to steal your phone and delete your account. You can't be reading this nonsense.
All
It's
right.
not normal people that think these things.
All right, from Purple Crayon. Hey, Charlie, who should the Flyers select in the first round of 2029?
Purple Crayon, guess what? It's you.
Your mom.
It's you, because I assume that's a Harold and the Purple Crayon reference. So I'm going to assume that you are still young. And then in 2029, you'll be old enough to be drafted, and you'll be the first overall pick. Or actually, you know what? Let's say not say first overall pick. Let's say 28th.
Oh, okay.
28th. Because the Flyers at that point will be a regular contender and will be picking
I like
late
where
in the
your
first
head's
round.
at.
Yeah, they're going to win the cup in the last year of Couturier's contract, 2030.
I like it.
That'd be cool. He's the
yeah.
first one to lift the cup. That'd be neat.
Absolutely. Trying to 2029, so that's 5 years from now. So you're typically 18. So we're talking about a 13-year-old. That's hockey's wild, man. All right. From another one from David here. If Danny adds as well as subtracts, we should be hyped for the summer. He's asked everyone we've complained about. Cleaning house like a pro.
It is nice to have a dude that is doing the things that we think that he should do because they're the right thing to do.
Just what we
It's a
just
wild
talked about
thing.
with the Rangers. Imagine they bring Rocky back. Like that's the equivalent, right? Except the players don't outwardly hate Rocky the way they do Chris Drury.
It would have been the equivalent, I guess,
just
of
did-
bringing
They rehire John Tortorella.
rehire Chuck Fletcher or something. Yeah, I don't know.
Unbelievable.
Would have been rough. I will say, and to be not the voice of reason, but just tossing a little cold water. You were like, it's really nice to have someone who is making all the moves that we want
Yes.
them to make.
Yes.
I will.
We did just talk about
I will
Jet.
rewind the clock back to the start of Chuck Fletcher's tenure, where he was, trading Dale Weiss and
did
buying out
things.
Andrew McDonald and firing Dave Haxtell and like all the players who were like they're bad. He got rid of, and we're like, wow, finally someone sees what we see. And then we all remember how the Chuck Fletcher tenure ended. So
Why
look,
would you say that?
it's good. It's good that he's making moves, but I am still going to be, hold my breath a little bit until we see what his ads are.
Let's see what happens at the draft. All right, and I believe this is the last one from David again. Ha ha ha. show and tell. Bill knows I got stories. I mean,
David
we're all
Chubb, I
from
got
here and of a
questions about
certain
you,
age.
bud.
It is
you up
what it
to?
is. All right, and that is all the time we have for you on PHLY Flyers.
And we hit 200 likes.
Ah, perfect.
Hey.
201,
Bill can
just
have
as we
dinner.
hit it. All right, this has been PHLY Flyers presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Only 2 4 o'clock shows remaining tomorrow and Friday. So make sure you join us here. Subscribe on the YouTube. Hit that reminder bell so when we go to our 12 noon Eastern shows starting on Monday, you get that notification and nothing in your life changes, and you just get to do it. Also, follow us on Twitter and Blue Sky, PHLY Flyers, and follow the podcast wherever you get those. Just search PHLY Flyers. That's it for us. My name is Bill Matz. That's Charlie O'Connor. That's Kelly Hinkle. Until tomorrow, let's go Flyers.
Y'all silly like the mayor.